All right, new episode, and this one is one of my favorites. Ghostbusters is really good, not only because we get Trixie, and Trixie is one of the best characters in the show, but also because we get a really good moral, and we get really, really, really good Twilight feats. Um, this episode, I don't think that the writers thought Trixie would be as big as she was going to be, or as popular. Maybe they did. Her design is great. She looks amazing. But we get more Trixie later, a lot more Trixie, and she becomes a pretty much normal character once Starlight becomes a standard main character. But yeah, this is one of my favorites, so let's get into it. This episode starts off with Twilight practicing her magic with Spike, and she grows a mustache, and Spike refers to it as growing magic. But one of the weird things, like really weird things about this episode, is that they refer to Twilight's magic and the spells she casts as tricks. Like, Spike is like, that's 25 different tricks. But magical spells and magical tricks aren't the same thing. Tricks are something that you do to like pulling a rabbit out of a hat, right? It's not really magic. It's a trick. You're tricking someone. Sleight of hand, stuff like that. And referring to unicorn magic as tricks is really silly because unicorns actually do have magic and they don't do tricks. They do spells. I think I was speaking with a friend and I think what they said is correct. It's more to keep in line with the narrative of Trixie and how she's a magician and she does tricks, because magicians do tricks. They don't do spells. Magicians don't do spells, like wizards, warlocks, witches, stuff like that do spells. Harry Potter. And tricks are done by magicians. And like it's just really weird that they use that terminology here. But anyways, Spike and Twilight are traveling through Ponyville, and they bump into really disappointing characters. We get two new characters, Snips and Snails, and boy howdy do Snips and Snails suck. They are terrible characters. They're supposed to be comic relief, I believe, and they're not funny at all. They're just stupid, and stupid isn't funny. Um, this is early signs that I think Lauren came up with them more than likely, and like even Lauren is fallible because these characters are bad. They're just really, really, really terrible characters. You can have comic relief characters that are effective and funny, and these two aren't it. Anyways, they're running through Ponyville because they're going to see Trixie's show, and they say Trixie is the most magical unicorn ever. And it's really weird because Twilight looks sad about that. And why? I would think that Twilight would be like, oh, that's interesting, let me go look. Because she doesn't seem the type to care if there was another unicorn who is really good at magic too. Because she doesn't care when she meets Starlight. She doesn't care when she meets Sunset either. And they're very, very powerful unicorns. So it's kind of weird here. It's still early Twilight, so I guess that makes sense. So yeah, these two nerds tell them about Trixie. And they rush over to try to see if Trixie is as great as they say she is. Again, I just got to talk about Twilight being sad here and flattered when Spike says that Twilight's better than Trixie. It's a really weird attitude to have. Like, they're giving Twilight an attitude of modesty, but at the same time, like, she's very concerned that someone else is as good or better than her at magic, which is just a bit weird from a writing perspective, but it doesn't bother me too much. Trixie Lula Moon, the great and powerful Trixie. She is amazing. Her design is amazing. Her VA is incredible. Her whole shtick is great because when you really think about it, she's Rainbow Dash. I'll get into that in a second, but she's heel Rainbow Dash. She is a douchebag Rainbow Dash more so. She's written to be the villain, but she's literally just Rainbow Dash. She's in the middle of town and she's doing her show and she's being boastful according to Rarity, which is hilarious because that is all that Rainbow Dash does. Rainbow Dash is boastful all of the time, yet she hardly ever gets called on it by, like, anyone, except for maybe Applejack. But, like, everybody knows, oh, Rainbow Dash, she's gonna talk crap, and nobody cares because she's a protagonist. That bothers me a bit in this episode because it's like, dude, just let Trixie do her thing. She's trying to make money, and, like, think of anybody in reality, right? You have, like, say, like, boxers or, like, MMA fighters, Conor McGregor, such stuff like that. They're going to talk a lot, and they're going to be like a personality. They're going to be loudmouths to generate more infamy, to generate more money. That's essentially what Trixie is doing, and they have such a problem with it, but they don't have a problem with it at all when Rainbow Dash does it. Anyway, the girls explain to Twilight the difference between being boastful and being good at something, and Rainbow Dash says something along the lines of, especially when you have me being better than the rest of us. And it's like, yeah, this is just Rainbow Dash. Like, Trixie is just villain or antagonist or bad guy Rainbow Dash. Like, you guys don't call Rainbow Dash on her BS. Is it because Trixie has a show? She can't make money off of a personality? It's so strange to me because Trixie really gets the short end of the stick in this episode. Like, yeah, you shouldn't be boastful. That's not a good thing. But if you're a personality, if you are like a celebrity type person, if you are a content creator and you create a personality for yourself and you want to utilize that to grow in popularity and infamy, why would you not do that? Why would people hold that against you? I mean, I guess if you're like an absolutely unbearable jerk, which I guess they consider Trixie to be, but she's essentially Rainbow Dash, and they don't seem to have a problem with her. So, again, anyway, Rainbow Dash literally boos Trixie, and that's what starts all of this. And it's like, if you didn't boo her on stage, she probably would have just kept doing her magic, finished, and then left. And then who cares? Like, honestly, if they weren't literally booing Trixie because she's performing, it's so wild that this happens. Because, like, just let the performer perform. How rude is it to boo somebody that's actually doing what they're supposed to be doing? In the previous scene, we got Fluttershy standing there. And then here we get Pinkie Pie standing there. But neither talk, and neither are in the rest of the episode. And that's really weird because, like, I guess Andrea wasn't there to record any lines. But if that's the case, why not just not have them in the episodes? It's really weird because, like, after this, we do get episodes with none of, like, not all of the main six. Like, there are a bunch of episodes where, like, it's focused on, like, one character or two characters or three characters or whatever, and sometimes characters are absent. But, like, on this one, they were like, we have to show Fluttershy and Pinkie Pie, but they're not going to have voice lines, and that's really weird. Rainbow Dash literally flies on stage and interrupts Trixie's show, which, in any case, anywhere else, like, if anybody was doing a show that was actually a show, there'd be bodyguards and, like, security, and Dash would have gotten chucked right off the stage. I don't understand how most of this episode is perceived to be Trixie's fault, because, like, again, just let her do her performance. People lie all the time, and yeah, it's wrong, but, like, just freaking prove her wrong and be like, look, she's a liar. Don't interrupt her performances, or I don't know, it just seems really, really douchey to freaking interrupt Trixie's performance in the middle of it and to just jump on stage. So yeah, Trixie lies, and obviously that's wrong. She shouldn't have lied about beating the Ursa. But the thing is anybody who knows what an Ursa Major is and an Ursa Minor would look at this and be like, that's not even an Ursa Major. That's an Ursa Minor, and it's much smaller than an Ursa Major. And, like, that's all you need to know. She was lying about this. And then it's like, there you go. Just be like, oh yeah, she's a fake. And, like, that's all you have to do. You don't have to jump on stage and challenge her to a battle of, like, whatever they challenge her to right now. Because you don't do that to somebody who's performing in the middle of their performance. Especially if they're not, like, physically harming anyone. And then Trixie just starts physically harming everyone, so it doesn't. This gets out of hand really quick. Now, this is where things start to really go off the rails. Trixie says, anything you can do, I can do better, to the citizens of Ponyville. And I always like to refer this entire part to Trixie just being Light Yagami. One of my favorite things about Death Note, or one that I find particularly funny about Death Note, is how Light beat L, and it was by tricking Rem. And I always found that funny, because it's like, how do I beat this person in a battle of wits? I know, I'll beat someone else in a battle of wits, and that person will kill that person. And essentially, that's what we get here from Trixie. So we start off with Applejack doing her little tricks with her lasso, right? And she's jumping through it, and she grabs a tree, an apple off of a tree, and eats it, and she does like some cool like jumps and stuff. First of all, it's really funny how bad the quality of the animation gets later, because when she's moving the lasso left to right on screen and she's jumping through it, the animation here is so good. And instead of reusing the animation here, they go to it later and she does the exact same motion, but it's animated so much worse. It's so much of a lower in animation quality. And I always thought, why didn't they just reuse the animation from Ghostbusters? Because it's the same animation. She's just not doing it with as much flair. But anyways, how does Trixie do this? How does Trixie do what Applejack is doing better than Applejack? She uses the lasso to tie up Applejack and then put the apple in her mouth. And it's like, that's not doing what Applejack did better, Trixie. That's just beating up Applejack with a rope. And then it gets even worse. Rainbow Dash does a bunch of crazy crap in the air, like she flies through clouds all the way up into the sky and then flies through the holes that she created from the clouds, and rain follows her, and then she stops and the rain hits her and creates a rainbow, and it's all very impressive aerial flying stuff. And again, how does Trixie show that she can fly better than Rainbow Dash? She literally just casts a spell on the rainbow and spins her a lot. and it's like, how is that better, Trixie? You're not doing the things they're doing better. You're just manipulating a thing after with your magic and hurting them or beating them up. And again, finally we get Rarity. And once again, it's just really stupid. Rarity uses part of Trixie's stage, and she creates a very elegant dress and styles her mane very pretty. And again, this is Rarity using her magic to do the thing that she's good at, which is fashion. How does Trixie show that she's better at fashion and styling and dressmaking? She doesn't. She just turns her hair green and into a freaking bushy green mess. And it's like, you're not doing anything better than them. I'll give two examples. It's like saying, you can do anything better than I can do, Trixie? Okay, so I pick up a baseball bat and a baseball, I toss the ball up and hit the ball with the bat 500 miles, and I go, top that, Trixie, and she just telekinetically grabs the bat and beats me to death with it. It's like if I'm like, I am a master chess player, let's play a game of chess, and I show her how good I am at chess, and then she, in retaliation, flips the table we're playing on and beats me to death with the chessboard. It's so absurd that She says she's better than everyone at everything, but she never does anything other than use her magic to physically alter or harm the one she's trying to beat. And that's really funny to me. It's funny because it's so absurd, and she's not better than them at what they do. She's just beating them up. So Twilight runs away, and I think this would have been better done, better seen if Trixie challenged Twilight the same way, and Twilight was just like, I'm not gonna freaking have a dumb game with you. This is like super beneath me, and like, who cares? Because that's how you should treat people like this. Just, if you're interested in what they do and you like it, watch them. If you're not and you think that they're just a joke, just be like, alright, and go do something else. Let them live their life and you live your own life. Who cares if she thinks she's better than you? Who cares if she is better than you? Just live your life the best way you can, and like, unless you're like a professional athlete trying to prove that you're better than other people, then who really cares? The losers are just glazing Trixie like crazy, and I guess, like, for this episode, they needed these two morons to be the whole catalyst for the Ursa Major coming. So maybe that's why they were created. I'm sure they could have created way less annoying characters for that, but I guess that's why we got them here. Spike calls them on Trixie's BS because it's obviously BS and we need something to happen. So they're like, she did beat an Ursa Major, and Spike is like, no, she didn't. And this is the trigger for the entire conflict of the episode being something that happens. Spike really wants Twilight to just prove Trixie wrong, but Twilight is too smart and above stuff like that. And it's here where she's reading up about the Ursa Major and stuff. So she's doing the right thing. She is wrong in the sense that she's like, it's the exact same. No, it's not. Trixie's not the same as... It's never the same as... Preventative measures are never the same as doing something the same way. Batman. Batman has this dumb philosophy. I hate Batman. He has this dumb philosophy that killing a murderer is the same as the murderer murdering people. It is not. There is a difference between killing an innocent person, murdering them, that is murder, that is unjustified, premeditated, whatever, for whatever reason, that is a crime, murder, and killing someone, i.e., if there is an active shooter at, say, a store, and you have a firearm, or you picked up a knife or something, and you could stop that person, and you kill them, that is not a crime, and that is welcome. There is a very big difference between those two things. And it's essentially the same thing here. Trixie just showing off for her own sake to make herself look better is different than shutting someone down when they're spouting nonsense and crap. So Twilight is wrong here. Spike is right in a sense, but again, it's beneath Twilight. She shouldn't even care, and she doesn't care. Well, I mean, she probably does care, but she doesn't do anything until she's forced to do something. The idiots go and goad an Ursa Minor into coming to Ponyville. And it really sucks because Tempest got absolutely wrecked by an Ursa. And like, why couldn't that have happened to these two morons? That would have been fine. Who cares? If they would have freaking lost their horns, they deserve it. I hate these two so much. So the dumb idiots go directly back to Trixie and they're like, we brought an Ursa, and like, if Trixie was such a bad pony, I mean, she is bad. She's not evil. She's just a liar, which is bad. But anyways, if I give Trixie a lot of credit here, she could have just been like, oh, y'all are stupid, and left. But she didn't. She actually tried to do things to the Ursa. Like, none of them work. She does her little rope thing, and she does her little cloud with the lightning bolt. And it's like, yeah, it doesn't work. But, like, she didn't even have to try to do those things. She's just, like... I mean, you could take the approach that she's trying to protect her brand and stuff, but even in that sense, she could have just been like, I don't feel like doing this, and you can't prove that I didn't do the other thing. But she eventually tells the truth, and everyone is not surprised. I mean, Snips and Snails are surprised, but that's because they're stupid idiots. I hate them so much. Um, but yeah, this just gives Twilight the opportunity to be the main protagonist. Twilight does all the things. I have a short about this. It's my most popular short. It's got like 300,000 views or something. Maybe 200,000. I might be freaking over exaggerating. She does the stuff. She does the wind music things to make the Ursa fall asleep, and she does the telekinesis to lift it up, and she does the telekinesis to bring the big water thing, and she milks all the cows, and then she rocks the thing to sleep while it's drinking the milk, and then she returns it to the cave that's all far away in the Everfree. And I love this scene because people want to be like, oh, Twilight's not that strong. Twilight has been very strong since the very beginning. Everybody wants to say, oh no, they can't teleport, or oh, they can't this or this or that. They can. The writers don't use it often because the writers are stupid. Twilight is extremely powerful. She's always been extremely powerful. And this is what, episode 6 of the first season. She only grows from here. She only gets stronger. She becomes an alicorn. She learns more spells. She learns how to do things better. I like this scene a lot because it shows that, and it shows that Twilight has been and will always be very, very strong. We get the "Don't Hate Me" scene next, and I like this scene because it shows how humble Twilight is. And that's good. You need a humble main character most of the time. Not all the time. There are some really cocky main characters, and those are fun too. But Twilight is a humble, kind. Again, I've said this before in another video, but I'll say it here again. She embodies all of the elements of harmony. And we get this scene with Rainbow Dash saying Trixie is a loudmouth, and I just think it's so ironic because Rainbow Dash is the loudest mouth that ever mouthed loudly, but we're still just acting like she doesn't do that because Trixie is the antagonist in this episode. It kind of sucks that we never got the Ursa Major used in any real way, if I recall correctly. It's a cool design, and this thing rampaging at some point would have been a cool challenge for Twilight to overcome later, even to show that she had grown as an alicorn, as a pony, and all of that. And it just feels like wasted potential. We just got to see it here, and that's pretty much it. Trixie books it, and we get her as an antagonist later. And I think that, like, a lot of people have this, like, wrong, because a lot of people kind of try to justify Trixie's actions as, like, it's, like, jarring what happened to her. But Trixie's main issue is that she took her aggression and anger out on the wrong target. She hated Twilight, or felt very strongly against Twilight after this. And it's like, why? Snips and Snails are the ones who brought the Ursa. Twilight never said anything bad about Trixie, like, the entire time. The Ursa is the one who smashed Trixie's caravan, and that's Snips and Snails' fault. All Twilight did was come and fix the problem that essentially Snips and Snails brought. So, like, why would Trixie be mad at Twilight for doing that? Twilight had every right to be like, you're a liar and you deserve blah 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 blah, but she didn't. And it's really crazy that Trixie held that against Twilight. Is it because, like, Trixie lied and Twilight can do it, so she's jealous? It's really wild. It's a really weird justification that people try to do. And don't get me wrong, I don't think that, like I said in my Starlight video, I don't think Trixie is a villain. I don't think she did anything she did out of the evilness of her heart or anything. It's just some actions are unjustifiable, like Starlight lying to her villagers. That's wrong. She shouldn't have done that. Trixie should not have held this grudge against Twilight. That's wrong. She shouldn't have done that. I don't consider either of them villains. It's just they're wrong for doing these things. And some people try to justify Trixie's actions because she lost everything, and I don't think you can do that. The end of this episode is kind of bumbled. Snips and Snails just have to clean up the caravan, and they turn it into a joke. Twilight gives them mustaches along with Spike, and it's like, this was potentially life-threatening for the citizens of Ponyville. How are we just, like, I know they didn't mean to, but they did do it, and I know that nobody died. Like, don't make a joke out of it. That's kind of stupid. We're it's like the boy who cried wolf. If the wolf never came and killed anybody, it's still wrong for you to cry wolf. And yeah, I don't like the way that was handled. I also don't like the way that the moral was handled per se. It's a good moral, but you shouldn't be proud of your talents. It's not showing off your talents if you're using them for a good reason. It's I mean, I don't even think Trixie per se was using her talents for bad reasons. She was trying to make bits. That's part of, like, money making. People need to make money. Ponies need to make money. So, like, it's kind of like, the moral is good. If you have talents, don't be afraid to use them in appropriate situations. But they try to plan it as, be proud of your talents. You don't have to be proud of them. Just use them and know your limits and know what you're good at, and enact them at the appropriate times and appropriately. But yeah, there's no way I can't love this episode. Trixie is one of my favorite characters in the show. Without her, Starlight is a lot weaker of a character, and I love Starlight. Again, I really love that they showed how strong Twilight was here. So I definitely have to give this episode 5 stars.